And in this video, we're going to be talking about whether you should buy or rent. Okay, now I'm going to represent my side of the story here, the renting side.
And it's my turn to be the bad guy.
Okay, so you know the main benefit, number one, is minimal transaction costs and minimal transaction time and fast move-in. So you could literally come into the city of Chicago, you fly in, you do your interview, you get your offer letter, and you can go give us a call. We'll show you a couple of properties, and you can literally sign a lease that same day and move in within a week. You can't do that when you're buying a home. You have to wait 40 to 45 days if you're financing, and if you're buying cash, I mean, at least a week, because you still have to do inspections and things like that. But that's one of the biggest benefits, especially if you want to live in the city. It's easy.
But I'm gonna mention the biggest non-benefit of that, and it goes back to the first benefit of owning a property, is that you get all of this in quick speed. However, once you start making payments, there's no equity building in an apartment. I mean, every month that you're spending on the apartment, that's never to be returned.
But you know what you're buying?
What is that?
Flexibility. That's what you're paying for. So that brings me to my next positive point about renting in downtown Chicago, and especially in these larger apartments, you have a great amenities package. Amenities that include a pool, a gym, a business center, with a fax if you still use fax, and a copy machine. You can set up your work setup if you're working from home. So there's lots of cool amenities in these larger buildings, and many condo buildings don't offer this. So that's kind of the downside of some of these condo buildings, is they don't offer those kinds of amenities.
I have a personal number one downside of renting from my experience.
Okay.
Because when you actually tour these buildings, you're shown model units. You're not really showing, in these high rises, you're not really showing the model that you're going to be renting. So they'll bring you to a model unit, great views of the lake. They're going to say, okay, this layout is different, but it's going to be very similar. And I remember touring a model unit, and when I was touring these model units, they told me I was going to get a view of Lake Michigan. And I did. I ended up getting two inches, just a little view between two buildings of Lake Michigan. And that's something that you need to do. You need to have an imagination when you're going through these tours. Am I wrong?
But here's how you mitigate this. You actually, before you sign the lease, because it's really easy just to look at the floor plan, be like, okay, I like this building, I've seen the model units, I'm going to sign the lease. Actually go and take a look at the unit you're going to be renting. And even if there's someone currently living in there, they're allowed to show you the unit before you sign the lease. So that way you actually know what you're getting, you know what the view is that you're getting, and things of that nature.
Correct.
So that's how you mitigate that.
Don't learn that the hard way.
Yeah. Now the other positive that I like, and I mentioned it earlier, is flexibility. You can easily relocate, and if you're moving because of an offer in another city, well, guess what? Your company can pay 2 months rent to the apartment building, and they'll break the lease, and it's done that way. I mean, it's just really plain and simple, very easy. Versus like if you owned your condo or a townhome in the city, you still have to sell it. And sometimes your employer has a program where they will buy the property from you, but at what price do they buy it from you, and what are the terms of that transaction? So if you have a very short-term time period here in Chicago, if you're renting, you don't have to sell anything. It's just very convenient, so less headaches.
But there is a flexibility that owning a condo has.
Okay, what's that?
And that's personalizing your living space.
All right.
So if you have a specific style, you have free reign in your condo.
You mean like if you want pink walls and things like that?
Exactly.
Okay.
If you want those quartz countertops, if you like that cute vanity and you want to bring that in, you can't do that in an apartment. You're stuck with those fixtures, with that style kitchen for the full duration of your lease. So there is that flexibility that apartments don't have.
That's a decent point. Now the next positive for renting in a high-rise in downtown Chicago is you typically have on-site maintenance, which means if you have a leaky faucet or if you have some plumbing issues or if something's wrong with your toilet, the building maintenance will come in and literally will be there within 30 to 60 minutes. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer, but generally they're there the same day to fix these problems for you, and there's no hassle. You don't have to negotiate a price. You don't have to worry about paying the plumber or worry about paying the handyman. And I think that's just a fantastic benefit, especially if you're a busy professional and you don't have time to deal with this stuff. That's it.
That's definitely a plus. One call out I wanted to make when signing a lease is the price contingencies based on the term of the lease.
Okay.
And it really depends on your personal situation, because what property managers do is that they entice you by lowering your monthly rent for a longer term lease. And just to be cognizant, if it works out, if that's something that works for you, that's more power to you. However, if you're planning on being in Chicago for work-related reasons for 12 months, don't go for that 18-month lease because you're getting $100 less per month.
Yeah, and if you have to break that lease or if you have to sublease it, what if you can't sublease it? And if you break it, I mean, typically in Chicago, I don't know what it is in other cities, but it's a 2-month rent breakage fee, and then you can get out of it, and your employer maybe can pay for it. But what if your employer doesn't cover it? And that's kind of just something unless you're staying here for 18 months, don't sign an 18-month lease because it's cheaper.
Yeah. So, being negative Nancy, that's all I had for negatives for rentals. Any leftover positives on your side?
Yes, actually, I'm glad you asked, because one of the favorite things about living in a high-rise apartment in downtown Chicago is apartments generally try to create more of like a community atmosphere, and they'll try to do like social events. Some buildings will have like a happy hour, some buildings will have sporting events, and all these other kinds of social activities for you to meet your neighbors and potentially meet some new friends. A lot of people move to Chicago, they don't know anybody, so these buildings know that, and in order for them to like kind of nicely hook you in to renew your lease here, they will basically create this atmosphere that's fun, and you meet some friends. And that's just a great thing about renting in a high-rise in downtown Chicago, is like you're kind of a part of a mini community, and you can meet a lot of cool new people while living in an apartment in downtown. So I think that's one of the coolest features of living in a rental. And I feel like condos kind of get the same atmosphere sometimes, but it's really hit or miss. And most homeowners,
there's less emphasis.
Yeah, and most homeowners associations don't really their job is to manage the property, not to actually manage social interaction with their owners. So that's kind of the trade-off there.
Yeah.
Now, we put in a lot of time to make these videos, so we hope you enjoy them. If you do, please give us a thumbs up, and follow us on Facebook or on YouTube. You can subscribe to us. Or if you are looking to make a real estate transaction, whether you're renting, buying, or if you're relocating out of Chicago, Arson, what should you do?
Give us a call. Give us a call. There's no charge. There's no broker fee involved for buyers or tenants.
Yeah. Or do we do email too? Can they send us an email?
Or a fax. They could give us a fax.
Yeah.
And do we have a pager?
Actually, I got rid of my pager a week ago. I found out no one's using it these days, so
We're upgrading.
yeah.
samurai, and you can see it happen. Open up your set of eyes, so you can take us down. We work hard and we sacrifice, but if you step in our way, we leave you paralyzed. Oh, paralyzed. Yeah, it's the samurai.